Hey guys, it's Quigley Tactical here with the second video in our hunt gear series. All right, we've covered some of the gear and its implementation of the last hunt I did and what gear I used. Now we're going to talk about the weapon system that I chose to use during that hunt. Before I begin, again, we have no sponsors here at Quigley Tactical. Everything we do comes out of my own pocket for your enjoyment and knowledge, okay? This is a community in which we discuss these sorts of things, be it hunting, off-roading, EDC, pointing guns at things in your basement, but that type of stuff is what drives us, right? And this is a safe space for all us snowflakes out there for this type of kit and whatever, okay? However, I want to highlight, again, a good friend of mine in Ukraine, his company Amphibious. It is like a gear and clothing shop, and he does a lot of good work. As you know from my last video, his Patreon, I encourage any of my followers, if you can spare it, to go and subscribe to his Patreon at $16. All the proceeds go towards outfitting lower tier soft units within the Ukrainian armed forces. Dudes that will be going to the front, okay? So it is money well spent. From me to you, join me in supporting Ukraine in that endeavor. As you know, at Quigley Tactical, we have our own nonprofit called Books for Warriors, in which we collect military history and stories of our own warriors here in Canada and the United States to send to their young students who are learning to become leaders within their armed forces, to both inspire and educate them on how to be the best that they can be for their country. Okay, so if you'd like to reach out to either of those, go ahead and DM me or look up Amphibious. Go ahead and DM up them, and they'll direct you in the best way to support. Okay, so moving on. This gun started in about 2006 with a purchase from me with my first little bit of money that I was able to buy. And it was straight up just a normal Remington 700 SPS varmint, 26-inch heavy barrel, 308 Winchester gun. There were no Remington 700P variants, and this was, it was the closest thing that looked like it. I knew nothing about guns except that I liked the look of the M24 and the M40 that the United States Army and the Marines used, and I wanted the closest gun that I could get to that. Little did I know that that model of action was a very sought after action that precision rifles use, and I take advantage of it in this day and age, okay? At the time, I just got a Bushnell scope that I thought looked cool. It was a second focal plane Bushnell Elite on like crappy Tasco rings and a base that I don't even remember the name of. However, I had that scope for a long time, okay? I couldn't afford to upgrade it. And I remember at the very most, I had that thing pushed out to 800 meters. I have the turrets elevation maxed all the way to the top. And then I had the holding the second mill, or the farthest mill dot at the bottom of the reticle, at the top edge of the target, and I'd be hitting the bottom edge of the target. So that scope was completely maxed for its capability, as well as the glass quality was so poor that the target was like just a blurry mess, okay? But it was a good system. That was the first iteration of the rifle, okay? For a dude who's learning to get into long range shooting, I found it was good to go. Next, Magpul released their Hunter 700 series. Again, being a cheap ass as I am, I went out and bought that, and that kind of enabled the gun to be sub MOA. However, I was still using the sketchy Remington like trigger that killed children, stuff like that. It was an okay trigger, but then I started experiencing that sort of thing in which the gun would just randomly go off, luckily while it was pointing down range. So I figured, you know what? I think it's about time I get off my wallet and get a new trigger. So after that, I went ahead and I got the Trigger Tech primary trigger and put it into that. Again, with the Magpul Hunter 700 stock. That would be the second generation of this gun, okay? The third gen, I would say kind of like the 2.5. I ended up getting myself a better scope, okay? And with the old scope being an MOA, second focal plane, it felt like you were dragging the turrets through butter as you turned them. I ended up, once again, to go ahead and get myself a better scope. So I got myself the Vortex Viper Pst Gen 2, and get myself a proper base system, okay? So on the rifle here, we've got the Night Force Extreme Duty rail here, and the Night Force Extreme Duty rings up at the top. I find them to be extremely sturdy rings. The base has a 20 MOA cant on it, and which I'll describe to you later. Okay, on the scope, I got the Vortex cant level bubble, just to keep me straighten out there. And then during that same time, I got myself the Magpul Bipod. Okay, at the time, again, a cheap move, going for the Magpul Bipod. So far, it's okay. Find it to be a little wobbly. Maybe I'll upgrade it to like Atlas in the future. But for now, after carrying this thing around in the foothills, I find it to be a pretty heavy gun. I'll see if I can handle another pound or two. Okay, that's the second 2.5 gen of the gun. I'll go into the specs of all the systems later, so you don't need to worry. So here we are coming up to the third gen of the gun. I got myself the Cadexdefence chassis system made for Remington 700 actions. Okay, somewhere along the line, I got the KRG bolt lift as well. This system has blown me away. Okay, this gun has gone from a 3/4 MOA rifle with the Magpul Hunter 700 stock to, I'm telling you, putting 15 rounds into a 1-inch patch. Okay, so 15 rounds, that meaning like one 5-round group is like half MOA, quarter MOA, and then sending another 5-round group, and that just hitting a 1/2 inch right of that group, and then the third 5-round group a 1/2 inch above. Okay, so it's unreal accurate, still with the standard barrel, with shooting 168 Sierra Match Kings. Okay, unreal gun. Okay, I hope to shoot my 175s. I know I'm getting off track here. I hope to shoot my 175 hand loads. However, I need to get my reloading press up and running. And then we'll see how those go. I anticipate them to be much more accurate out to farther distance. Okay, with the CADEX though, I came with some problems. So I needed to get new rings, higher rings. So my old rings had to be retired. I might put them up for sale. I should have mentioned. So they were Seekins Precision rings beforehand. These are Night Force. These are Night Force Extreme Duty rings. Okay, the Seekins Precision rings, they were good. They were really good. They were just too low. Okay, the bell of the scope was touching the rail, so I didn't want to shoot it off that. So I ended up getting the extra high ring. So it kind of has a goofy look to it, but hey, like if the bell of the scope's touching, you're going to destroy your scope. And then I needed to get this BC Bravo Company USA Picatinny rail on the front end. Okay, so any improvements I would make on the gun, just the bipod. Right now, like the action feeds smoothly, the magazines are reliable. The next big upgrade would probably be the barrel, and I would probably go carbon fiber just to shed some of the weight. However, I don't want to shed too much because the weight adds to the stability of this weapon system. Recently, we just pushed it out to about 700, truing it. And I have no complaints. This gun is completely good to go. It has that old Remington 700 action, somewhere around the year of like 2009, 2010, their quality plummeted. And I have fired Remington 700s from after that time frame, and it was not pretty at all. Okay, their triggers are terrible now. However, you can change that out. Their actions, they don't extract as well as they used to. You get rounds sticking in the chamber. Yeah, it's not a good thing. Moving through like the actual specs of the gun and how it works. All you guys that would consider this gun porn will probably be doing some heavy breathing right now. So we'll go from the back end of the gun to the front, showing you how it all works. Okay, so in the back end of the chassis, you've got your 2 adjustment knobs. Yeah, I've seen other chassis in which it's like a push button and then it slides. Listen, I'm not like Special Forces. I don't need all that craziness for the extra 500 bucks that it costs. So you can just lay down once, bench rest the gun, get behind it, adjust your eye relief and length of pull, and it'll be good to go for you, okay? The one thing that it does have is for your height adjustment for where the butt pad goes against your shoulder. It is, like I said, you pull that up, this slides up and down to adjust for you, okay? Moving forward to the pistol grip, I find the pistol grip to be extremely comfortable. And if you ever fired stock guns before, or guns with a stock, you need to do some weird cradle that I found created instability. However, it eliminated parasympathetic movement in your hand, which would throw the gun off. A nice pistol grip in which you can just employ your pistol shooting techniques enables this gun to be extremely stable and accurate. If you buy, I don't know, Tikka, Savage, Remington, you'll find that their bolt knobs are extremely small and hard to manipulate. The KRG bolt lift is very smooth and easy to manipulate. And it's a cheap upgrade. If you only have 80 bucks, get that, I would say. Okay, moving forward, the 20 MOA rail. The 20 MOA rail is built that way to make it so your scope is constantly pointing downward a little bit. That way when you zero, you can zero closer to the bottom of your elevation turret, okay? That matters more for things like 300 Win Mag, 338 Lapua, 50 BMG, maybe 6.5 Creedmoor. I just wanted that ability to have this scope so I can push 308 to its max potential. So right now it's zeroed at about 0.8 from the bottom of the turret, okay? And don't ask me how many mils are in this turret, maybe 26. That might be from the middle though. So at the bottom, that'll give you another 20 or some odd mils of play. Will I ever shoot that far? No, but I want that ability, okay? It's not any more expensive for 20 MOA rail. So as long as you understand it, you can use it. The Vortex Viper Pst, this one is in mil-radian for both the reticle and the turrets. So the turrets are in 0.1 increments per click. So each click is 0.1 of a mil. So if you know your worm rule, 1 click at 100 meters is 1 centimeter of movement on your target, okay? If you fire at 100 meters, you're 3 centimeters off. You add 3 clicks, you should be on target. Okay, again, windage, same thing, or deflection if you want to sound like a nerd. Okay, your deflection, same thing, 1 click is 0.1. Okay, when zeroing or any sort of wind, you can adjust it in that way. We'll go over wind calculations and things like that that are not my own later on. They're just systems or methods that I use to get on target. Okay, you have your parallax. You have your parallax knob right there. Adjusting for parallax is important throughout. It's not something that a lot of people understand, or a lot of people have difficulty explaining exactly what parallax is. Let's just say when you're going through many layers of glass in your scope, the more parallax that you will come under the effect of. So adjusting for parallax is important, okay? I'll blow your minds later with that. It has an illuminated Ebr7c Reticle. It has wind dots within it. I'll show you a picture of the reticle. I'll link it into the video. That enables, some people say it's too busy, but I've heard the adage that I absolutely love. It's like if you're looking at a baseball game through a chain link fence, do you say, oh, I can't see because the chains are in the way? No, you just look through it, okay? The Ebr7c Reticle, very good. You can quickly engage a target without even having to dial by using the wind dots and the very generous mil increments throughout the reticle. Okay, moving forward, it is a first focal plane reticle, meaning that the reticle, or the reticle pattern shrinks the farther out that you zoom. It is a 5-25 scope. So at 5 power, you get mostly just like a crosshair. You still can see. They call it the Christmas tree, but it's indistinguishable. At about 10 to 15 power, you'll be able to start using that reticle better. Excuse me. I have the same reticle system on my AR-15. However, my AR-15 is a 2 to 10, I think it is, first focal plane. So if I keep it at 2 power and I bring that gun up, all I need to do is point a little crosshair, because you can't tell it's an Ebr7c reticle at all. You just point that crosshair at the target. However, because I set up my my AR-15 in a recce rifle setup, I want to dial that to 10 power. I can use that reticle to make quick aim adjustments because it is a semi-auto weapon system. So, moving forward, the chassis, should I want to go full enemy of the state, you can put anything from a PEC on there, so you can indicate targets, things like that. You can mount something that I might get later. You can mount your Kestrel to the side of the weapon system. You can mount your LRF to the side of the weapon system, so you can fire it downrange and get your firing solution just based off of where your weapon is pointing. That is an option I wanted to have for later, and it could be something that you'll see in future videos, okay? Again, the only thing I still might change that is a legacy of the system is the Magpul Bipod. Okay, so Magpul says that it has that sort of wiggle in it on purpose, because you're supposed to load your bipod just a little bit, okay? Maybe yes. I find it to be a little unstable. However, the weight of the system is forgiving. Any bipod I would choose in the future would probably be like an Atlas or something that you can totally customize that PRS shooters use. So the magazines, I believe, are proprietary. Someone correct me in the comments if you want. I find them to be good. It's a 10-round magazine. It's good to go. Never had problems with it yet. However, I've only fired about 200 rounds through this with this configuration. Again, moving forward into the barrel, in the future, I might get a 24-inch proof research carbon fiber barrel to make this a much more, a little more wieldy and a lighter system without getting too light, in the fact that it'll just start bouncing all over the place. You'll get a lot of muzzle rise. That's pretty much it. I'm extremely happy with it thus far, and I think it's sexy as hell. If you agree with me, go ahead and comment. If not, you can call me a wannabe in the comments, okay? It's good to go. So, that's it for our second video. Okay, so if I would say anything, I would say start training with the weapon systems that you guys use, okay? Train, don't make the same mistake I did, in which I train in this weapon system for one thing, and that's flat range, reaching out as far and as precisely as you can. That's good, okay? That's really sweet, okay? However, because I was on short notice, I don't have any of my reloading stuff set up. I went out, and I just bought what I took to be the best ammo I could buy. Quickly zeroed, took my crony of it, and then went on the hunt, okay? It didn't work out as well, because when I returned from the hunt, I checked my group, my zero again. Maybe I bumped the gun around or something like that. The gun was still zeroed, just the grouping capacity of the round was not there. We'd group at the best 0.75 MOA up to 1.25 MOA, which is, in my opinion, not acceptable for a round that expensive, okay? With ammo prices now, I would suggest that you do go out and reload, because even the Sierra Match Kings Sierra Game Kings that you could buy for hunting, they're like $40, $50 a box. Okay, so I reload a lot of my own 168 Sierra Match Kings, and I've had a lot of time behind that round. And as soon as I switch back to that to start practicing, it's night and day. Okay, so I find that I would say that Federal needs to do better, and then it's not their fault. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a big global conspiracy to price this all out of the market, but the ammo prices are insane. So train with what you can afford and then apply that in real world circumstances. Okay, that's it for me, guys. Thanks so much for following. Comment if there's anything more you want to see. And yeah, that's it. Stay sharp.